that's like
Yeah,
weird.
you can just use the hand.
Yeah, I'll raise my hands.
Okay.
I was just trying to transfer it. And I was
So, we're gonna do something on these instructions to the mind by Raghunath Goswami. But first, let's sing the whole bhajan. It's not in the most ideal form.
You ate this?
Yes.
It's good? It's good. I don't usually
And then maybe we'll go through the first few verses, and then we'll see how far we get. And we can talk a little bit on the verses. But maybe, let me see that real quick. So first, we'll start our class with our Mangala Charana. So, welcome anyone who's joining online. You're about all we have today. We have, even our ashram is small with
You
Madhav.
didn't send any texts or anything, right?
I sent some WhatsApp.
Offer any rides.
I sent
Usually
some.
we've been offering rides.
I sent some WhatsApp,
I just like, didn't have it in me.
but that's okay. Yeah, maybe we have to. So let me share the screen here so you guys can at least see something here. All right. So let's chant our Mangala Charana before we. Actually, we'll do the bhajan first, and then we'll.
Good job!
Wow, he's spinning.
Yeah, he can move on the floor.
All right. All right, you can scroll there. And so, look here. What?
You can find one that like this one goes
Svantre Srinami Vrajanavayuvata Dvandvasharane Sadadambam Hitva Kuratim Apurvam Ativara Aye Svantarastas Chatubirabhyachadrutam Hara Nadhanam Nadhanam Shrutigani Nittam Kilam Kuru Raje Radha Krishna Kachuvachayam Ihatanu Sachi Sunam Nandishwara Patisuttamate Guruvaram Mukunda Prestatve Smarapadam Ajasaram Nanumanaha Yadicheravasham Rajabhuvi Saradam Pratijanu Yuvatvam Chatre Pratichantam Ananda Vilashe Sarupam Shirupam Sadanam Tasam Prajamapi Sputam Premna Nityam Smaranama Tadatvam Shunumanaha Sadvarta Veshya Vrishtamati Sarvasha Harani Kata Mukti Vyagrahya Nashunakirvatmadlinayani Apityaktva Lakshmi Patiratimito Vyomanyainim Vraje Radha Krishna Swarati Manidautam Bhajamanaha Ashachesta Kasta Pradavikata Prashra Virlina Prakaham Kamati Prakata Patapti Vyakti Karai Gale Badvahanyeham Iti Bakavit Atmakane Kurutvam Puktaram Avatisa Yatatvam Manahitaha Recheta Prodyat Kapata Kutinati Bharakara Sharan Mutre Snatva Dahasi Katam Atmanam Apimam Sadatvam Gandharva Giridari Pada Prema Vilasat Sudam Gaudau Snatva Swam Apinitaram Mamcha Shukhaya Pratishta Shadrishta Svapacharamani Mehridinate Katam Sadhu Prema Spristati Suchiretam Nano Manaha सदा त्वं सेवस्व प्रबुधैतसमर्थम् अतुलम् यथा तं निक्षास्य त्वरितम् इह तं वेशयति सः यथा दृष्ट्वा त्वं मे तरयाति ततस्कयापि कृपया यथा मह्यं प्रेमामृतम् अपि ददाति उज्ज्वलमशु यथा श्रीगन्धर्वभजनविधये प्रेरयति मां तथा गोष्ठे काक्वा गिरिधरमिह त्वं भज मनः मदीश्वरनतत्वे व्रज विपिनचन्द्रं व्रजे वने स्वरीरं तन्नातत्वे तत् अतुलसखित्वे तु ललितं विशाखां शिक्षालि वितरण गुरुत्वे प्रियसरो गिरीन्द्रौ तत्प्रेक्ष ललितारतिगत्वे स्मरमानः रतिं गौरीलीले अपि तप्तति सौन्दर्यकिरणै सचीलक्ष्मी सत्याः परिभवतौ भाग्यबालनै वसिकारश्चन्द्रावलीमुखनवीनव्रजसती चित्तातियाराध्यातं हरितराधं भज मनः समं श्रीरूपेण स्मर विवश्य राधगिरिपृथो व्रजे साक्षात् सेवालपनविधये तद्गणायुगो तद्विचाख्य ध्यानश्रवणा नटिपञ्चामृतमिदं दयान्नित्यगोवर्धनम् अनुदिनं त्वं भज मनः मनसिक्षा दैकादाक्षवरमितं माधुरया गिरा गायायति उच्चैः समाधिगतसवर्ततति यः सायुधा श्रीरूपानुग इह भवान् गोकुलवने जनो राधा कृष्णतुलभजनरतं स लभते ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरो वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपां साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं साद्वैतं सावधूतं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगणललिता श्रीशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते हेशा गोपिका कान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर सादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमो विष्णु
All right. So maybe we can fix this out. So we are even smaller than our normal morning programs for our Wednesday program, which is this has not happened in a very, very long time. It is only 6:30 though, so when people are notorious for being late, and usually we start late, but we started right on time. So maybe, just maybe, at least somebody will come and relish something to do with bhakti. But if not, it's good we just do this ourselves anyway. We only benefit from going through the wisdom scriptures of the great sages and the revelations of the great saints, modern saints like Raghunath Das Goswami, who is one of the dear associates of Lord Chaitanya. We'll study his Manashiksha. I'm being a little selfish because I'm trying to remember this Manashiksha myself. So, and I didn't prepare a class today, so I was like, you know what? Let's just go through some of the verses that I got.
That's the reason no one came.
What? Yeah, I mean, I don't think that was the reason.
Here.
But for whatever reason, Krishna wants us to go through the Manashiksha. Hey. How we doing?
How's it going?
Pretty good.
Is the prayer tonight still
Yeah.
6 to 8?
Yeah, we're doing it right now. We actually
Oh, you are?
we usually have a good amount of
Usually a few more people will come.
people will come, but
I'm
you
sure
You're
it's the
welcome to
weather.
join us.
yeah, whatever. But if you want, you're welcome. You can join us. We're just going through a prayer
Yeah.
of
I would love to actually. I've never joined one.
yeah. Sit on down. You're in, and dinner's on us.
Right here?
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
Cool. So.
Oh my god, he's so adorable.
Here.
So we were, we were gonna do the Manashiksha, but I think let's do Bhagavad Gita. So we're gonna pivot because we were gonna do a really advanced thing, and now because have you ever heard of yoga, bhakti yoga before?
Yeah.
Studied it at all?
I've never studied it.
Okay, practiced, meditated.
I took one class in college.
Okay, so cool. So we're gonna do something called the Bhagavad Gita. So this Bhagavad Gita was studied by Einstein, Gandhi, Martin Luther King. This is like the original text, not the original, but probably the most authoritative text on what yoga actually is.
Okay.
And it's not what you think it is. It's not like I do all the other yoga too, the stretches and all these things, but it's not. It's not what you think it is. It's
Is this more breathing?
what?
Is this more breathing based or?
No. This is more way of life, a
Oh.
philosophy on how to approach life.
I love that.
Yeah. So this is yoga. Literally means to link or connect. And what are we linking and connecting? We're linking our soul with the highest truth. And that revelation in Bhagavad Gita is actually going to be God. And so all of the great religions are practicing yoga.
Right.
So that's very interesting understanding. But anyway, we'll go into the Bhagavad Gita and then we'll just see, we'll see what we all get out of it.
I love it.
Yeah, so let's go to Bhagavad Gita 101 right here, 211. This is actually the first verse. The Bhagavad Gita, how did that happen? Wow, that's not what I at all was thinking. What happened? But the Bhagavad Gita, sorry. It's John, your name?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. My Airbnb name is Ronald, but my monk name is Ram, so you can call me either.
Oh, so you're
I'm
Ronald.
yes, I'm the one. So
It's nice to
officially talk to you. I
Yeah.
saw you in passing a few times, and I was like, oh, he seems nice. So
Just been very tired and overworked the last few days. What, you?
yeah, that's Abhiram.
Abhiram?
Abhiram. So
He's so cute.
yes, he's
Is he your son?
he's my son and
He
her
looks
and
just
her
like
son. Yeah, that's what they say. Apparently, I looked just like that when I was a baby. So, All right, well, let's get into some Bhagavad Gita. We do this every day.
Oh,
And usually we even have more people in the mornings when we do it every day than we even have right now, but maybe the weather. We usually have like 10, 15 people. I wouldn't be surprised if a whole slew of people came late, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was our crew for tonight. But Bhagavad Gita itself means the song of God. Bhagavan means a name for God, and Gita means song. And this is an ancient conversation between a great warrior on a battlefield and actually Bhagavan, who's a god, and he came down to supervise the, you could say, the affairs of man at that period of time. And there was a great war abound, and the personality Krishna, who is the speaker of the Bhagavad Gita, he was sought by both sides because he was, at the time, it was clear, some people realized that this is a divine personality. Many people realized, but also many people did not, and just recognized this is like a great warrior, someone who's extremely powerful. And so he was sought by all the parties for there was like a world war that happened. And the whole world war, the whole, war is detailed in the longest poem in existence called the Mahabharata. And the Bhagavad Gita is like the philosophical climax of the whole Mahabharata, which is like 48,000 verses. The Bhagavad Gita itself is like 700 verses in the midst of those 48,000, which are giving us the sum and substance, the highest philosophy that the whole poem has to offer. So it's an amazing conversation, and anyone who studies it, like Einstein, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, the Beatles, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, all these great personalities, it's really, really deeply inspiring, and it's like really deeply intelligent. Like it's just you hear the philosophy and you're like, whoa, this is on another level. That was my experience. So anyway, we're going to go to like Bhagavad Gita 101. Just trying to set the scene for you because, yeah, no problem. I mean, but it's good for Parth to hear too, because Parth also gives classes and things. So he gave the class on Sunday. We had 20, 25 people here, and Parth gave a nice class on Sunday.
your name is Parth?
Yes.
John.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you officially too.
So we'll go into Bhagavad Gita 101. So Bhagavad Gita, it's spoken in the middle of a war, and right before the war is about to start, the greatest warrior they were all seeking Krishna to fight, but Krishna decided, well, I have relatives on both sides of the war. I have too many connections intimately on both sides of the war, therefore I cannot fight for either side. But he said, one side, I'll give my army, because he was also the prince of a great kingdom. I'll give my entire army to one side, and I myself will join the other side as an advisor. And so those who sought piety, or good, wholesome religious values in life, they wanted Krishna as an advisor. And those who sought power, strength, lust and greed in the world, the vices, they sought the army, because if Krishna is not going to fight, what use is he to us? And that was their great mistake, because one side got the Bhagavad Gita, the greatest pep talk of all time, and the other side got a very, very powerful army, but they didn't secure the advice of what will be revealed to be God. So it's it's figurative as well, because it's more valuable. David, don't leave him with Parth. It's more valuable to have God's advice than any material amass of power, wealth, or anything you can have. If you have the instructions of God, it's far more powerful than even anything you can amass in this world that we work so hard for. So this is the figurative understanding as well. So, and anyone who takes this Bhagavad Gita in and takes this instructions will probably feel very similar. So anyhow, the greatest warrior he sees his relatives, and the thing that really hit him, he saw that his a grandfather figure named Bhishma, who raised him when he was young, and his military arts teacher Drona, who also practically raised him in training him to be a warrior. They were, due for political reasons, caught on the other side of the war, and he especially was falling into an existential crisis of wanting to fight. On one side, all of his relatives and family members who've been persecuted so badly and conspired against, tried to be murdered. So many things happened throughout this whole Mahabharata. But eventually it came down to it, okay, a war has to be fought. And then now he's looking that on the other side, he has to challenge the two most formidable generals are like his loving relatives and a military teacher. So he can't really pull himself together. So he goes through all kinds of reasons why he shouldn't kill them and that he should just sit down and actually be a yogi in the forest, to be like a peaceful person, not to fight for an honorable cause. But actually, Krishna, very interestingly, the reason he gives him the instruction matters on yoga, because he wants to prove to him what real yoga is, and yoga doesn't just mean sitting and meditating and breathing, all these other things. He wants to show how even in our work in the world, we can find yoga in any which way. And then ultimately, the ultimate yoga he's going to teach is bhakti yoga. And that remember, yoga means to link or to connect. So when a yogi sits and he breathes, he's connecting with himself, and he's connecting himself to a higher source of power. And then ultimately, Krishna is going to reveal that highest source of power is him, is God. And ultimately, that's what Krishna has come to teach, and that's the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. But it's 700 verses, and we'll go through maybe one or two verses today. And you'll see how much is in depth in one or two verses, and then you're like, wow, I should probably study the whole thing. So anyway, this is our beginner level teaching. There's actually, you stumbled on a huge rabbit hole here. This is like, you can't even fathom how deep this goes. I can't even fathom, and I've been doing this for 10 years, and I can't even fathom how deep this is going. And I'm learning something incredible every day, actually, as I go deeper in this path. So anyway, so he gives all these reasons to Krishna why he can't fight, and then he decides that he's not going to fight. And he drops his bow, and here he is in the middle of the two armies right before the fight. They're all lining up. They're all ready to go. They blew their conch shells. Everything was ready to, this is how they started war. And then all of a sudden, the number one warrior, the leader of the pack, he as he goes to scout out in the middle of the armies of millions of soldiers, he just drops his bow and I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to fight this war. Like, you like sports? What's your favorite sports team?
I don't know if I have one. Maybe the Bills?
Maybe the Bills. Imagine the Bills make it to the, AFC. They don't make the Super Bowl. But let's just say they made the, What's that? Let's say they make it to the AFC Championship game, and they're against Patrick Mahomes, and it's a whole big thing. And then Josh Allen, he gets there, and he's looking, he's like, I can't face Mahomes again. This guy always beats me, and he just decides I'm not gonna play.
Type looks how I feel. Who's he talking about?
I'm just not gonna play. And everyone's just looking like, what do you mean? How is this gonna happen? So anyway, everyone's looking along, and then this the greatest warrior, he's clearly not ready to fight. But then Krishna, he starts chastising him and giving him loving instruction on how to move forward. But Arjuna does something very intelligent, and we'll do this verse first. He says, Karpanya dosho pahata swabhavaha. You want to try it? Dosho pahata swabhavaha prichchami tvang dharma samudachetaha
mitvam dharma samudachetah.
Yachreya shanishchitang bruhi tanme.
Shreyasya nishchitam bruhitanme.
Shishyastehang shadhimang tvam prapanam.
Shishyasteham sadhimam tvam prapannam.
So, we'll just do the translation, even though it would be in our best interest to understand what all the words means. But he said, now I'm confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me clearly what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So this was very intelligent of him, because before Krishna and him had a relationship, but they were more on the level of like friends, because they were fellow warriors. But he was one of the people who realized Krishna's greatness. And so he actually realized that, you know what, I have exhausted all of my knowledge of the scriptures, all of my knowledge of what is right and wrong. I've reached a point I have no idea what to do. And we actually all get like that in life. We have so many sets of values. We have, the government gives us laws, our educators gives us laws, our religions give us laws. But then when we balance everything out, we've reached points in our life where I have no idea what is to be done. So in that time, the best thing to do is to surrender unto someone who knows what to do, who has knowledge of what to do. And so ultimately, Arjuna realized Krishna to be that type of person. And that's what Krishna offered. He said, I'll give my army to one side and I'll advise the other side. So now the advisory role is coming in very much in handy. And so, but Arjuna surrenders to him. And then when Krishna, and then he goes for a few more verses saying how he's not going to fight. And then Krishna decides, okay, you've surrendered to me. Now I'm going to lovingly but strongly give you what you should do. So Krishna says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
This is all sung, right? It's a poem. In Sanskrit's the oldest language. But in the Sanskrit language, life was a musical. We kind of just blabber at each other, but everything was sung, everything was, very poetic. Yeah, it's very, very nice. So, but I imagine, I don't know if you ever watched a musical.
I've watched several Bollywood films, and they all have musical elements to it.
Yeah. Even, there's modern musicals in the West too. I mean, her cousins do so many musical things. And I remember we did some family event with her family one time, and her cousins and aunt wanted us to watch Hamilton.
Oh, okay.
It's like a musical about Alexander Hamilton. And surprisingly, just in the midst of the it's just it just creates such a nice atmosphere of life. Wow. Telling a story through music is so beautiful. So this was actually how scriptures were told for thousands of years, even before writing. In the Vedic understanding, our modern scientists and archaeologists and anthropologists, they study writing as a key pillar of advanced society. But actually in the Vedas, the opposite is actually said. That when a society gets so unevolved in its faculty to memorize things, then writing is the next step. And so these ancient Sanskrit's the oldest language by far. Everyone's agreeing scientifically, and all of the other languages actually emanate from it. Everyone is agreeing scientifically, but they can't trace how old it is because it wasn't preserved in writing until about roughly over 5,000 years ago. And they said that it was only done then because in this age that we are in, the people's intelligence has become so dull and the brain power has become so low that writing must be done in order to memorize anything at this point. But the memory faculty was apparently much greater before then. So it's very interesting. But everything was sung. So anyway, it was sung. And this verse was the first verse Krishna spoke of Bhagavad Gita. Ashocyan anvashocastvam
Ashocyan anvashocastvam
Pragyavadangscha bhashase
Pragnavadamscha bhashase
Gatasun agatasungscha
Gatasum agatasumscha
Nanushochanti pandita.
Nanushochanti pandita
So Sri Bhagavanu Vacha, you guys can say.
Vanuvacha.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said,
Supreme Personality
Ashochan,
Ashocha,
that which is not worthy of lamentation.
that which is not worthy of lamentation.
Anvashocha,
Anvashocha,
you are lamenting.
you are lamenting.
Tvam, you. Pragyavadaha,
Pragyavadaha,
learned talks.
learned talk.
Cha,
Cha,
also.
also.
Bhashase, speaking.
Speaking.
Gata,
Gata,
lost.
lost.
Asun,
Asun,
life.
life.
Agata,
Agata,
not past.
not past.
Asun,
Asun,
life.
life.
Cha,
Cha,
also.
also.
Na, never.
Never.
Anushochanti,
Anushocha,
lament.
lament.
Pandita,
Pandita,
the learned. So Krishna says, the blessed Lord said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead. So, he's saying, while speaking learned words, you're mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead. And maybe, this is a short purport. We'll read it. Prabhupada, who's the great saint who brought these teachings to the West, he was really was amazing. But in the 60s, he was the guru of the Beatles, George Harrison. I don't know if you know. Many people even say, Google may disagree, but many people in George Harrison's close circle say that he wrote Here Comes the Sun, inspired by a sunny day that came out of nowhere in February one time when he was in England. Like a really, really sunny, hot day, like an out of season day. But apparently the inspiration was the illumination, enlightenment that he received from having Prabhupada in his life. And so Prabhupada, George Harrison was, his house that he gave to Prabhupada and the devotees is still the main temple for this practice in England now. It's like the #1 temple. It's his old house. And one of the main books, the first book I ever read was just about Krishna's life, was printed and funded by George Harrison, and he wrote the foreword in it as well. So, I don't know. You familiar with the Beatles, George Harrison?
Yeah, I just listened to My Sweet Lord yesterday.
Oh, okay. So there you go. That's, the part, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Yeah, that's about the stuff.
Yeah.
So, so that's George Harrison. So
It's one of my favorite songs ever.
yeah, so
I would say.
there's a lot of potency infused in that song. He was writing that song in Bhakti Yoga, actually. He was applying Bhakti Yoga in his delivering of that song. So maybe that's why that's why you felt the energy and you like it so much, because there's something higher to that song. It's not an ordinary song, actually. Most things you hear on the radio, they're not connected in yoga. They're not connected to anything higher. They're connected to lower things like lust, greed, vice, all kinds of things people sing about, disgusting things nowadays. But that one is definitely connected. So anyhow, that's very nice to hear. That's one of your favorite songs. So Prabhupada, he said in his purport, he's explaining verse by verse. He says, the Lord at once took the position of the teacher and chastised the student, calling him indirectly a fool. The Lord said, you're talking like a learned man, but you do not know that one who is learned, one who knows what is body and what is soul, does not lament for any stage of the body, neither in the living nor in the dead condition. As it will be explained in later chapters, it will be clear that knowledge means to know matter and spirit, and the controller of both. Arjuna argued that religious principles should be given more importance than politics or sociology, but he did not know that knowledge of matter, soul, and the Supreme is even more important than religious formularies. And because he was lacking in that knowledge, he should not have posed himself as a very learned man, as he did not happen to be a very learned man. He was consequently lamenting for something which was unworthy of lamentation. The body is born and is destined to be vanquished today or tomorrow. Therefore, the body is not as important as the soul. One who knows this is actually learned, and for him there is no cause for lamentation, regardless of the condition of the material body. So, we all have different value systems in life. Some people have very base values, where their values are like, how can I get immediate pleasure? So they're kind of like animals. Many people, maybe even most people, are very instinctual. If they see a pretty girl, immediately, sometimes without any type of tact, just go immediately approach her, something like this, and so on. But then some people have a higher set of value system, and they take higher principles from, say, the sages and saints of different religious systems. Arjuna happened to be one of those people. He understood what was dharma, what do the scriptures say, and all these things. But after his understanding of the scriptures and religion, he, in the midst of this, and on one hand, you should fight for honor, you should fight for justice, you should fight for right. There's an evil king trying to take over. But on the other hand, you should never kill your teachers and elders and things like that, and they're lined up against him. So he couldn't quite figure out. It seemed he had to break his religious values one way or the other, and he was like completely torn. But then Krishna, he's going to give him the highest understanding of knowledge, which is called Sankhya, and that's the distinction between what is matter. 5 subject matters are going to be explained in Bhagavad Gita. Who you actually are, because when we actually evaluate who we actually are, like always, who we always are, because we sometimes, like, here's a good example. At some point, you may have identified with a body like this, but I'm looking at your body. It looks completely different than probably your parents saw this type of body at some point. But yeah, that's not, and guess what? This body that you have now and the body we have now, it's also going to go to a different type of body, an older body. But we're the same person throughout the whole thing. He'll be the same person now. He's tooting in this little baby's body, and at some point he'll have a body like us up here, and then another point he'll have an old man's body, but he's the same person throughout. So it'll actually make the distinction between who we actually are as a soul and who's the spiritual entity that is taking and changing bodies, and not just this lifetime, many lifetimes we're changing bodies. And then who is the controller of existence, and that's ultimately the position of God. What is this material world that we're a part of? It's called Prakriti. What is this? What are all the elements? What are all the bodies made of? What's going on here? What is time that's moving all of it, and in cycles, creation, sustenance, and destruction? And what is karma? What is it that one should do? What are the actions? And what are the results of the actions that come about? So all these 5 things will be explained in Bhagavad Gita. But right now, Krishna is getting into the first fundamental thing of who you actually are. Because right now, Arjuna is lamenting for something that has nothing to do with who he actually is, nor does it have anything to do with who anyone he's lamenting about actually is. So he's lamenting for their body and the loss of their body and the performance of his body in activities that he doesn't want to use his body for. But actually, on the spiritual level, there is no real loss if we understand these things. Some people, like for instance, Hitler and the Himmler and the Nazis, they studied Bhagavad Gita, and they tried to use that for a not so good purpose. Well, at least, as far as we understand from our side of history, a not so good purpose. History is always written by the winners, so, who knows what the spin on history would have been if someone else wrote, if the Axis side won the war, who knows what the spin on. But from our understanding, it was a really terrible value system that they had. But they used to try to, use this knowledge to justify all kinds of great killing and things like that. But this is never recommended. If they studied later into the Bhagavad Gita, they would know that this is to kill unnecessarily is always never recommended. But there is other times where the best thing you could do, like if somebody came in here with a gun or something, and then Parth hit him and beat him down and killed him, we would all celebrate Parth, and the police would even celebrate Parth, and no one would have a problem. But, if Parth then just said, I read in Bhagavad Gita that, this person's not their body and you can't really kill a soul anyway, so I don't really like the neighbor, so I'm going to kill the neighbor. If he did like that, then no one would agree, the police would not agree, and then Parth would go away for probably the rest of his life. So there's subtleties of how to use this knowledge. But Krishna is saying those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. And then let's see, maybe we can go a little further here. And then he says, Natveva hang jatuna sang, natvang neme janadipa, natchaiva na bhavishyamaha sarve vayam mata param. He says, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. Sometimes we get all caught up on a breakup, or we get all caught up when we lose a relative. We get all caught up. But if we actually understand what is actually happening in reality, that Krishna is saying here, there's never was a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. I mean, Abhiram is very small, but most of us, we don't remember that. We don't remember being that small. We don't remember, our infancy. We don't remember even our 3-4-year-old much. Maybe around 5 we have some memories, but even I don't remember most of my even 6th, 7th, 8th grade. I'm kind of glad it's behind me at this point. But there's some memories there, but not very much. But what's to speak at infancy, we have practically no memory. But it doesn't mean we weren't there, just because we don't remember. So similarly, just because in this lifetime we don't remember previous existence, doesn't mean it didn't exist. So in the Vedic understanding, Krishna is saying, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. So he's actually speaking of the eternality of two things. One, the eternality of the soul of all of us here. And then the eternality of us as individuals. He says, never when I did not exist, aham, I. And then he said, tvam, yourself. And then ime janadipa, all these kings. So he's giving actually identification. Some people believe in yogic understandings, they believe that at the end this is all an illusion, and this idea of thinking that we're individuals, it's all going to end at we can transcend this idea and we can all just merge back into the one God. Many people have this belief, but Krishna in this verse actually proves that that's not the case. You have a role as an individual in existence, and what that is, that's to be revealed through your enlightenment. But never was a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. So this is a nice verse, and it could help us understand, because sometimes, especially when we lose relatives or we deal with death in this world, we will lament, oh my God, mom. You have all your parents are still with you in this world?
My mom is. I lost my dad in 2015, and I lost my brother earlier this year.
Oh wow, I'm really sorry to hear. No one enjoys this aspect of life.
Yeah.
But the good news is that they're not lost, in that sense, where their existence is continuing, and even though we might not perceive them, but even in the past life, We don't remember our mothers, we don't remember our fathers, we don't remember our wives, we don't remember our husbands. We could have been ladies, we don't remember our children, our relatives. And so this is a part of life, but in the actual span of eternity, never will there be a time when we don't exist. At least this is the claim of Krishna. But he actually will start to make a case. He's going to give a scientific analysis called Sankhya of reality. And in that scientific analysis, you can start to actually trust him. Because now he's speaking boldly, but then he actually breaks it down so that, okay, this actually makes sense. But now here's one of the verses where he does that. Dehinosmin yatha dehe komaram yovanam jara tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuhyati. It says, as the embodied soul continually passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. Our modern scientists, this is a nice picture. Our modern scientists, they say our body dies, all the cells, they kill off and regenerate every 7 years. So they say that you have a whole new body every 7 years. But you yourself are the same. But we watch, the body does nothing but change, It was like Abhiram at some point, and then like me and you and Parth, and then one day it'll be old, like this guy, and then one day it'll be on its way out, and then boom, and then if we're unlucky, we come back and keep trying to understand the lessons that we have to learn in this forsaken world. But anyhow, this is, but the same soul who's animating the body, the experiencer, the observer, the sakshi, the witness of reality, that's the same the whole time. I'm witnessing through the lens of this body, I was once witnessing through the lens of a body like Abhiram's, and then I'll one day witness through the lens of the body of like my father has now, and so on. So he's showing that the body, it's constantly changing, but you're the witness, the observer, never changing. You're always sitting there observing. So he's starting to make the distinction between who you are and who we think we are, because we identify with our body. Oh, I'm looking very fit. Oh, I'm looking very fat today. Oh, I'm looking very old. But who are we really? These are just temporary understandings of ourselves. So this is a higher understanding of knowledge. So Arjuna was doing that, thinking, oh, I have to kill these people. But then Krishna is going to say this. You raise your hand, Parth? You were raising your hand, or no? Oh. Well, he says it in a few verses. But this is another good one. Matra sparshas tu konteya, shitosh nasuka dukada, agama payino nityas, tam stitik shashva bharata. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O scion of Bharat, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So, in this world, our senses perceive pleasurable experiences and unpleasurable experiences. Like right now, it's approaching winter. Nobody really likes winter that much. I mean, some people try to find some pleasure skiing or snowboarding or something. But most people really don't like the feeling of winter that much. They'd much rather go out on a spring or even a summer day like that. But it's automatically always going to come. In this life, sometimes we taste good things. Sometimes we taste not so good things. Sometimes we smell good things. Sometimes some foul odor enters our experience. So anything that arises from sense perception, we have to learn to tolerate them without being disturbed, because it's always going up and down in life. These things are always coming. And if we don't learn these things, so even sometimes there's times of peace, and then there's times of war. And so here's what he's telling to Arjuna, that you're, you're getting upset about this this thing, but ultimately, if you were truly learned, you're speaking like a learned man. You're citing all the scriptures and all the wisdom that you know. But ultimately, if you were truly learned, the sage is always steady in mind, no matter what. And they can tolerate anything. When it's winter, they don't protest. When it's summer, in India, summer is a brutal season. Summer is worse than winter. Here, winter is worse than summer. But in India, summer is like the worst season. It's just so hot, it's crazy. But they're like the appearance and disappearance of the winter and summer seasons, hot and cold. In your all of the senses are gonna, sometimes you feel soft, nourishing things to the skin, and sometimes you feel jagged, spiky. Oh my God, like if you were walking on like jagged rocks or something like that. That's just the experience in this world. So this is life. This is reality, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So he's telling Arjuna how important it is that you actually learn to tolerate no matter what's happening from the level of sense perception. So that means if our eyes see something beautiful, if our eyes see something ugly, if our ears hear something sweet, if our ears hear something, not so sweet, and so on. Anything having to do with the senses, that's the nature. There's a duality. There's ups and downs, good and bad, and you have to learn to tolerate them. You can't always find good. It's always going to, and even if you spend most of your life only putting good food on your plate and only trying to surround yourself with good sounds and things like that, at some point your body's faculties to use its senses will start to fail, and then even like you could get like diseases. Like there's one disease called jaundice, and jaundice is such that if you taste, even though the food itself by nature is sweet, but due to the lack of ability that your taste buds now have, anything that you taste as sweet, you taste as bitter. And so, you have to tolerate, no matter what, this world is going to have its ups and downs. So Krishna he's telling this higher understanding of life. And then he says, maybe I don't think we can, yes. Yamhina vyathayantyete purushang purushashaba samaduka sukhang dirang somritatvaya kalpate. O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. So, this is nice. So if you are, you're not disturbed by happiness and distress and you're steady in both, you're eligible to be completely free from suffering altogether. So this is, most people, this idea of being free from suffering is very exciting, because the condition that most people are in is that they're suffering constantly. Whether their own body and mind is the cause of their suffering, whether they have their own mental depressions or their own diseases in the body, or something's ailing them in the body or in the mind, or whether some other living entity like a mosquito or a tiger or a lion or someone mean in traffic or a violent person is harassing them, or even if not that, a blizzard or a torrents of rain, a volcano or something. There's always something causing us some type of suffering, or like a great nuclear threat, or or many people are conspiring to crash the economy or something. So there's always going to be something. But if you can be steady in both, you're certainly eligible for liberation. You're eligible to never be touched by suffering. If you can learn how to be steady in positive sensory experience and not so positive, negative sensory experience. But if you can be steady in both and tolerate, then you're actually eligible for liberation. So he's pretty much telling him, yeah, now is one of the lows. Now is one of the tough times. And if you can't be steady right now, in this time, then you'll never be eligible for liberation. You'll never be, free from this suffering stage. And then we'll do, this is the last verse. He says, Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha, ubhayor apidrishton tas, tvanayos tattva darshibi. And he says, those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent there is no endurance, and of the existent there is no cessation. This these seers have concluded by studying the nature of both. So this almost seems like mystical. Like, what is he talking about? Of the non-existent there is no endurance, and of the existent there is no cessation. So what he's saying, for something to be really existent and have like a concrete, fixed existence, or what's of the quality of what's called sat, if it's really like this is a fixed thing, there will be no cessation in it. Otherwise, if it's an asat, or if it's non-existent, it will have no endurance. So I'll give you an example, or maybe we'll do a quiz. I was born Ronald Madio of an Italian family in Newton, New Jersey. Is this an existent or a non-existent thing? Non-existent. What do you think?
I would also say non-existent in this context.
Yeah, it is non-existent. Why? Because at death, that won't, maybe in the annals of history, that will be there. But at death, that's not going to be. Lalita, Hare Krishna, nice to see you.
Sorry, I'm late.
No problem. I'm surprised we had such a small turnout today. But luckily Krishna sent John, our Airbnb, to join. So we're very happy. We're doing Bhagavad Gita. So come on in and maybe we'll do some. So in this, yes, anything that is temporary, which are most things of this world, anything that has no endurance, it has no eternal reality, they consider asata, or non-existent.
So that would also include physical bodies?
Yeah, the physical body, that would include. It's not that you would just neglect it. It's that you don't put priority on it because it has no endurance. Like for instance, I used to do this, go to the gym like crazy to try to, mold and build their body in such a way. And, usually for vanity reasons, because they want their body to attract a beautiful mate or something like that. And they put so much time and energy and effort into this. And ultimately, all for eventually the body to get old and fat and this, that, and the other thing. And their body to get old and fat, the person you're trying to attract. And, it's not they're chasing a non-existent, in this context, thing. So the seers of truth deem this very unwise, to waste one's time pursuing non-existent things. Whereas those who are wise, they're looking for what is actually existent. So Krishna is going to get into that, but what can you fathom that you know of in reality that is actually existent, that's always there? Krishna kind of gave us a hint a few verses before.
Water, air, spirit.
Spirit, yes, but even water, air, all of these things, yes, they're called prakriti. They're part of the material nature. We may not always have them available to us. But yeah, they're the five things, but the number one thing that's always existent is you, the observer, not the body, not even the mind, and not even the intelligence and how you discern your existence. Because Abhiram's intelligence and mind is far different than what it will be when he's Partha or our age. So that's not eternal. But the witness, the observer, is eternal. God's position in the whole of reality, that's eternal. This material world, even though it's constantly temporary and it's filled with temporary non-existent things that are changing, the foundation, what you said, that's there, earth, air, fire, water, and ether, that sustains it, actually, and also the faculties of mind, intelligence, and false identification with this world are always existent, but if you identify with any one of those things in certain forms they take, they're non-existent. So, but they are eternal, if you understand that. Time, the factor of time in this world is eternal. It will always go on. And even the karma, even though the effects of the karma are, they are temporary. Like, all right, let's just say I slapped Parth, and then Parth turned around and slapped me back. The effects of that, and then eventually I decide, I shouldn't have slapped Parth anymore, so I'm sorry, Parth, and then we make up, and then we don't hit each other anymore. The effects are, temporary. The slapping was only a temporary thing, but the whole aspect of the cause and effect of reality, of what we do, will reap some consequences in this world. That's always present. So these 5 things are always going to be eternally present. So the wise, they actually only focus on eternal things. And the foolish, they focus on non-existent things, or things that have no endurance. Things that are temporary, things that'll slip through their fingers. So this is, this is huge. This is huge, actually, because most people spend their entire life chasing something that is going to disappear, and they're going to be disappointed. Every job, every career opportunity, every bit of wealth, every bit of relationship happiness, every bit of practically everything that everybody is chasing, really because they don't have a higher set of knowledge, it's going to slip away. I have a wife, I have even some job and income and things like this to manage this place. But if I base my happiness on this, it's going to fall apart at some point, And even if I think, no, I'll run Airbnb forever, I might not, There's all kinds of different factors that are way beyond my control. They could EMP the country any second. All the things, electrical grids can go down, this can go down, the financial thing could collapse, anything. It's so flimsy, And if we base all of our happiness and faith and endeavor on these things, guess what? They're going to disappear. And if they don't disappear, guess what? Your body's going to disappear, because that itself, finding happiness through the body, is a temporary thing. So the wise, they know this, and they don't put prime importance to this. They put prime importance on that which is always there, and that's the main thing that is recommended for the living entity. And we'll have to end here. This is what we did, 5 verses, 700 verses of just complete enlightenment. And this itself is only 748,000 verses of the Mahabharata. And this Mahabharata of 48,000 verses, which is very philosophically dense and amazing, this is only beginning level teachings meant for the lowest populations of society, for the people, the populations of society with the least amount of intelligence. So this Mahabharata was composed for their benefit, and that's us. But actually, there are higher teachings, and we study them. In the mornings we study, called Srimad Bhagavatam, and then there's even more confidential teachings beyond that. But that's meant for those who are pretty much only on the platform of the eternal. But right now we're trying to figure out where we are and where to go and what to actually focus on. But he's saying those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent there's no endurance, and of the existent there is no cessation. And this seers have concluded by studying the nature of both. So naturally, the wise, the intelligent, are going to gravitate towards that which has, they're going to focus on that which is existent. And what they'll focus on is what's called sambandha jnana, or knowledge is jnana, sambandha of our, as an eternal soul, ourself, our relationship with reality. That's the main thing that we want to do. So ultimately, there's what we should do is tasmad gurum prapadyeta. We should surrender unto a guru, one who is understands reality. Jigyasu Shreya Uttamam. If we actually want to know what the highest good is in life, and Shabde Brahme, Shabde Pare Chanishnatam, and this person will be fully conversant with all of the conclusions of the great sages of antiquity. And Brahman Upashamashraya, they'll be completely focused on the eternal, the absolute Brahman, and Upashamashraya. They'll be completely detached from that which is non-existent, the temporary, that which is material. So that's going to be a later conclusion. Not even yet in this Bhagavad Gita, but but ultimately, we started like that. Arjuna found somebody in Krishna who had this higher knowledge, and he surrendered unto that person. And we too, in this tradition, we get initiated, and we also spend our life trying to find that source of inspiration, someone who knows the deeper truth and will help us get to that next level. And so, yes.
I have a question.
Sure.
When you were talking about, how we can approach a guru who is going to enlighten us. And,
Yes.
they're going to, show us the path then. So, in order to do that, we must believe in the guru, right?
Yeah, of course.
So, what if the guru is wrong?
And he's not guru.
Okay.
He could look like guru, but guru, I just said, is the qualifications of guru is Shabde Pare Chanishnatam. He's fully conversant with the conclusions given by the great sages. So pretty much what the scriptures have said, what the conclusions of Bhagavan, of like Krishna's conclusions, like a guru, he's not giving his own unique conclusion. He's not inventing anything. He's just a messenger. Like even Jesus said, "I've not come to change the law. I've come to fulfill the law." This is ultimately what this is what guru is. Guru is actually just sharing the conclusions of the Lord. He's just a messenger for the Lord. So if the guru is making some concoction, and you could say saying something wrong, then it's in that facet he's not acting as guru. But you should also be very careful to make sure that without a shadow of a doubt, that that's true before you assume he's wrong, because you could be wrong too. That's also you should check your work very carefully. But yeah, they'll know all the conclusions of the scriptures, and if you check the conclusions of the scriptures, it will line up with what the guru is saying, or else he's not really guru.
So is it okay to have 2-3 gurus?
Yes, you can have many gurus. You in the form of like initiation, you only need to get initiated with one guru. But in the form of taking instruction throughout your life, you can have many gurus. I have many gurus that are helping me. Many gurus, not one. My Diksha guru, he's coming next week actually.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but the one who initiated me and helped me, but and I have a great relationship with him. But he is not the only spiritual personality helping me. I'm getting so much help from many others as well. So, yeah. And so also, to be fair, because even myself, I'm taking a small role in organizing this project of being a guru to some people. For people who are very new, I can help them get like a little bit farther, And in that sense, I have to take a role of like a guru, not like high-level guru. But at some point, if you hang around me long enough, someone will realize that I have limitations, many. And then when someone realizes my limitations, they'll realize that, oh, well, if I want to go further and make even more advancement, I should approach somebody who is much more qualified. And so like that. And then even that person might have limitations. They might be more qualified than myself. And, but then at some point, they also, still have some lessons they're working on. And then you might even at some point, they also might be taking guidance from someone more qualified than them. So that's how it is.
So, and that's okay.
That's perfect. That's good. It's very good. It's like in the traditional Gurukul system, or the education system in ancient India, they would have the teacher of the Gurukul, and then they had the elder students, then the younger students, and then the youngest students. And the teacher would teach, and those who were in his program the longest, the eldest students, he would depute them. And same thing with like PhDs, and they, oh, you go help your fellow classmates. They can act as a role of guru for the younger ones. But anything that they can't answer, then they have to go to the head teacher. So like that, if when we're approaching guru, there can be many who can help us advance and take the role of guru, but then there may be somebody who's, you may have some issue that you need to go to the top level, or like even the court system. You can maybe deal with some things in the civil courts, but if something's much more pressing, then it might have to go all the way up to the Supreme Court, like this. So in the pursuit of knowledge and truth, it's also like this. So is that helpful?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else? Discussion? We're supposed to go for another half hour, but we do have to do, we'll do a ritual. Maybe I'll just share some of the conclusions of what we do, and then you can get a taste of, okay, what are they presenting here? So what we do is, because of this, and these are very foundational teachings, we spend our life focusing on the eternal relationship between us, the living entity, and with God. And the proof of there being a God is not so evident in the beginning, very easily, But with understanding some of this discrimination and distinction between matter and spirit, that can become more and more evident, and then people can understand, realize, and develop faith in God. And then eventually they may have developed such a sufficient faith in God, and such revelation is there, and some people are who are so high, they're actually always experiencing God, and God is very, very, very evident to them. Like I'm not at that high level, but I have developed some faith in God. So, but our program and our process is to approach God, to have some realization that this world is not put into place by accident. It doesn't work so perfectly chaotic, but perfectly by accident. There's a very, very intelligent design, and then there's a very, very intelligent purpose and reason that we're all in this world, and even the suffering and the evils and the vices and the discomforts that we experience here in this world all have a very specific purpose for our soul. And if we can understand this and try to approach the conclusions of God and what God may want from us, and has revealed to us in teachings like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and many other places, then we ourselves can, Jesus is giving many things and so many things, then we can develop more faith in God, and then realize that this is a higher calling, and a much better use of our time than almost anything else. So that's our process. We spend much of our day doing activities that facilitate connection with God. And the main thing we do is we chant the names of God. And this is the most powerful process that we have. Right now we see, yes,
I have one more question. I'm sorry.
you go ahead.
So, like you said that when you have to approach, like there are some limitations with Gurujis, right? So,
Yes.
so for going for higher level, like we start approaching for gurus with higher knowledge.
Yes.
Right. So, um, but what if that guru is not easily approachable and they have ego or arrogance? So can you still call them as a guru and approach them?
No. So, I mean, maybe if you have even more ego and arrogance than them, then they can act as a guru for you, and maybe in some way to at least reduce to their level of ego and arrogance. But
So how do you define a guru? Like with
So,
all the qualities of everything?
yes. So I explain what does Krishna qualify as a guru in Uddhav Gita. He says, Shabde Parechanishnatam. He's fully conversant with the conclusions of the scriptures, and Brahmanyupashamashraya. He's fully fixed, absorbed in the eternal, the absolute truth. So meaning ego is not going to be present in him if he's a high qualified guru. False ego is not going to be present. And Upashamashraya, he's completely detached from temporary or material things. So if you find all those three qualities, then you've found a guru. If you detect any limitation, then he may, if he has all those three qualities greater than you, he can act as a guru to you to that point. But then if you're finding that he has a limitation where he still also has some material attachment and this, that, and the other, then you can respect him, honor him, but you should find someone who can go beyond that limitation. So like this. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes. So just like you learned a lot from your 5th grade teacher, but then you had to go to 6th grade teacher and a 7th and so on. So similarly, you may learn a lot from some beginning level gurus, and then you might have to go to higher and higher level gurus to keep making advancement. Like that. Like even us here, in one sense, my job is to be, I'm not saying I'm anyone's guru, but my job is to act as a guru for new people. That's my job and Part's job, that's our job. We're to actually act as, in the function of guru for brand new people. And then at some point, as they make advancement, we should relay them to more qualified gurus than ourselves. Like this. And as far advanced as you are, you can accept as mentor or gurus or teachers those who are spiritually more advanced than yourself. But then once you reach a certain level of advancement and you're finding that the gurus are dealing with the same problems that you're dealing with and they don't seem to have a solution for those problems yet, then you and that guru should go find a higher guru. So like that. So, yes. Does that make sense? Okay. So what we end up doing is we chant the names of God. And the reality is that God is, he's like amazing beyond our comprehension. We can't even comprehend how amazing God is. But to actually achieve realization of God is very, very rare. Because actually, if we really scrutinize our consciousness, we actually have a deep aversion to God, everyone in this material world. We would not be here if we didn't have an aversion to God. The purpose of this existence is to give facility for people to try and enjoy separately from God. And that's why everyone is here. They're trying to enjoy so many temporary things that God puts it here, and it makes it temporary and makes it filled with suffering to show the foolish living entity like ourselves that I don't know why you wanted this so badly, but here it is. It's shining, it glimmers, it looks good, but it's going to slip through your fingers, and it's all going to lead to disappointment. And that's life. It's everything you get here is just going to lead to disappointment. If it's non-existent, meaning if it has no endurance. So anything temporary that you're pursuing leads to disappointment. But if you pursue eternal things, and the ultimate eternal thing is God, then it'll be steady. It'll be lasting. It'll give an eternal pleasure. But that very few people even understand what's eternal and what's temporary in the first place. But those who are fortunate enough to understand this, they may eventually realize the existence of God. And then God, even though he is so rarely revealing himself and will only reveal to the most qualified of living entities, but if we very sincerely approach God, eventually one of his qualities is bhakterji, tattvam, means he's conquered by bhakti, means he's conquered by love. If we actually have developed a love and a faith towards God and want him to reveal himself to us, it's his promise that he will reveal. And he's already revealing many of us. I mean, even somehow or other. John was listening to My Sweet Lord. Was it yesterday? He was listening to My Sweet Lord, appreciating yesterday. And that whole song is about approaching his sweet Lord, approaching God.
I try to listen to, not to interrupt, but I try to listen to that at least once a month.
Yeah. So, it's one of your favorite songs, and it's an amazing song. But that song is saturated with this approach of the eternal God. And that's why in the song, what he ends up doing is he says, Hallelujah, which I think means glory to God in maybe Latin or something like that. But then he gets to Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And these names of God are very dear to Krishna. And they're denoting on a surface level. Hare is denoting Hare is denoting the merciful element of God that takes away all of our suffering, takes away all of our pain, takes away especially our ignorance. Because the reason we're approaching temporary things is only due to our ignorance. But if God, by good fortune, takes away our ignorance, then we can actually pursue things that are actually good for us, and we can actually be happy. So that's one of the meanings of Hare. It's also, there's a deeper meaning of Hare which actually denotes the feminine aspect of God as well. But I'm just to keep it very simple, we can just keep with the merciful element of God, but there is a feminine element as well. And then Krishna means all attractive. Beautiful, wonderful, amazing. Anyone who saw Krishna, they would have, it was like a festival for the eyes to be able to see. But just the nature of God is in his revelation to us is how amazing and wonderful and beautiful. And in the pastime of the Srimad Bhagavatam, when Dhruv, after 6 months of intense meditation, finally sees God after doing all kinds of deep penance to secure a kingdom, to get a kingdom, he when he sees how beautiful God is in his form upon revelation, he says, I was praying for broken glass, but now the most beautiful jewels have come before me. So this is what we do in this world. We're hoping, we pray to God, God, make me rich. God, come on, make this relationship work. God, come on, just make this job work out. God, please, come on, my PhD program, please make it work out. All these things, and we want all these things from God. But if we just wanted God in his truth, reality, that would be the precious jewels, and we'd realize we're praying for broken glass, and nobody wants a piece of broken glass, But we can't even fathom, we don't even have any intelligence to what God could be like. And if we don't want to know, he's not going to force us to know. But if we want to know, he'll reveal. That's why Jesus says, if you seek, you shall find. If you knock, you shall enter. If you ask, you shall receive. But if you don't have any desire at all, he says, oh, no problem. You keep going as you are. It'll suck, but you keep going, So what we do is we chant the names of God in the spirit of approaching God. And then ultimately, with the realization that it's in my best interest to be a servant of God. I'm part and parcel of God, and it's in my best interest to lovingly do activities that are favorable to God, and this is from the mood of a servant. So this is the ideal, and this is the essence of bhakti. So we're gonna, we have one ritual. You can participate with us. You cannot participate. It's up to you. But we'll sing, and I'll offer some articles to the deity, form of. There's different spiritual personalities on our altar. I know this is totally far out for anyone in the West, because we didn't grow up with it. In the East, they kind of do stuff like this all the time, puja, worship. But for us, these are actual representatives of how God has revealed himself in different time periods throughout history. And God is completely present everywhere and anywhere. And by inviting God in a certain way, he will actually become present there. So when we worship on the altar, we actually, if my faith actually becomes very strong, I'll actually be able to really feel the presence of God in my worship on the altar, even just by seeing the deity form. Even just by chanting the syllables of God's names, we can feel and experience the presence of God. But because the faith is not yet strong, we can even chant that and we can see them and we don't feel that much of anything at all. But it's not the problem with the process itself. It's actually a problem with our current revelatory level. We're not that advanced yet. So, but anyway, if you would like to check out the process is to sincerely call out, and this is the main one, to call out, and we'll do this at some point. We'll sing a song in Bengali. You won't know what it means, but it's just glorifying this worship process. And then we'll sing the names of God, and you can try it out. It's a wonderful practice. You could take this anywhere. That's why George Harrison, he added it to his song that you like so much. And you can take this anywhere. People chant at work or when they're having a hard time or anything. Some people have a whole practice every day of chanting the Maha Mantra. It's recommended. The more that you really want to approach God, the more you'll sit down to actually do activities to approach God. And so this is the eternal activities. So we try to only do eternal activities of approaching God. And these are some that we do. We study God's instructions like we just did in Bhagavad Gita, and we talk about them. And we get great pleasure and satisfaction in talking about them. That's the easiest, probably most important in the beginning, is to just go and hear about the Lord. That's why we have our programs. So this is like the smallest program we've had all year, like, by the way. I don't know what happened today, but somehow or other Krishna's arranged. So anyhow, we'll just do that one last thing, and then we'll all have a feast together, if that's okay. You're hungry? Yeah, please have a feast with us. That's part of our program. All right, so we'll try it. Parth is going to sing. I will not sing because I'll be doing the ritual element of things. If you have any questions, you can ask me about it afterwards. But the main element is after he's done singing the prayer, and everything's call and response, meaning he'll sing, and he'll probably have to sing twice and help you guys, but and then you guys are to sing, and the leader will sing, and then the followers will sing. And it's usually very nice. The more people we have, it's wonderful. And then the main important thing that's going to happen is the call out to God via this mantra. And then I didn't explain the last word, Rama. Rama means pleasure. Like I'm Ram, Abhiram. Abhi means near pleasure. Anyone who sees him might think, oh, he's so cute, or even though right now he's not very near pleasure. But anyone, Abhiram it's supposed to mean anyone who sees them will feel very near pleasure. They'll be delighted in seeing him. So Ram means, and it's denoting the pleasurable aspect of God. Nobody gives more pleasure than God. And, we have very little realization of God. But we take pleasure in associating with, say, Like for me and my wife, when we first met, we took great pleasure in associating with each other. Now that we've been married like many years, now we're both like very sobered up by the experience. We don't get as much pleasure when we see each other as we used to, but still, we have a good relationship. But it's not that honeymoon. It's not like the honeymoon phase. Yeah, it's not like that. But God, the honeymoon phase just keeps going forever, and it's ever increasing. It's you can't even imagine the type of pleasure that associating with God is like. But or even a great saintly personality, or even the Son of God, like the disciples of Jesus, got so much pleasure in being able to associate with Jesus personally, and so on like this. So but even so, we can actually find that pleasure in associating with God through His names, through hearing about His teachings and pastimes, through even recognizing His forms on the altar. We have to shift our consciousness. And this process is teaching us how to shift our consciousness from non-existent or false consciousness, temporary consciousness, which is where we're currently at, to the eternal consciousness, Krishna consciousness of the reality of God. So these are practices that do that, and this will be the end of our class. But John, you're a special guest today. Very happy you joined. If you want, just observe the ritual. It should only take 15 minutes, and then we'll put up on the screen what everyone's going to sing. You can try singing along, and it has a nice tune. It's pleasing. And then the main thing is we'll chant the names of God, and you can try it and see how you feel. And then and if you like it, you can take it anywhere you go in life. And then that's right. So Parth, where is it on here? Is it this? Here, I think. Okay. Maybe Lalita, you can Parth. No, you can maybe John can do this service where you can hold the laptop and scroll, so you guys can see.
Love to.
Yeah, so that could be your job. All right. And so Lalita, you can play the
Yes.
kartals. Good.
Yes.
All right. All right, Parth, you're up. So.
Thank you.
Let me just see if I close the class yet, because now everyone who's watching on YouTube